The administration of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has blocked a new advanced placement course on African American studies from state high schools, saying the pilot program's content is historically inaccurate and inexplicably contrary to Florida law. A January 12 letter from the Florida Department of Education to the College Board needed to specify what part of the course it objected to. Still, DeSantis signed a law dubbed the Stop Woke Act last year that restricts how race-related issues can be taught in the state, the New York Times reports. The Education Department said the course significantly lacks educational value. Still, if the College Board is willing to come back to the table with lawful, historically accurate content, FDO will always be willing to reopen the discussion. Last summer, the College Board set a pilot program to offer high school students an evidence-based introduction to African American studies would be launched in 60 high schools across the U.S. this school year, with more to follow in the 2023-24 school year, The Guardian reports. The board said that as with the introduction of other AP courses, the new course is undergoing a rigorous, multi-year pilot phase, collecting feedback from teachers, students, scholars and policymakers. The board said course frameworks often change significantly after feedback, and the updated framework will be released well before this class is widely available in American high schools. The College Board says the new course covers more than 400 years of African American history, including literature, political science, and geography. DeSantis spokesman Brian Griffin said the course leaves large, ambiguous gaps that can be filled with additional ideological material, which we will not allow. One of the course's developers, Henry Louis Gates Jr., a leading scholar on African American history, said last year that the course doesn't involve critical race theory, an academic approach to the systemic racism that DeSantis has denounced as state-sanctioned racism, but is a mainstream, rigorously vetted, academic approach to a vibrant field of study.
Here are some comments from readers at New York Times. Asher Fried. Croton-on-Hudson, New York. To ban a course for inexplicable violations is itself quite explicable. Either the powers that be can't but more likely do not want to provide an explanation for their censorship. Without a detailed explanation, the only conclusion is that the so-called educators are afraid of the wrath of Ron, and ruled accordingly. Finkley. Houston, Texas. The future is going to be driven by a knowledge economy. Florida, thanks to DeSantis, will be producing children with no meaningful education. Perhaps the citizens there don't care, since many are older retirees whose children were educated in more civilized states. Whatever the case, the bigger question is why any civilized person would want to live there. Maybe none do. Historical facts. Arizona. DeSantis and Abbott's censorship could cost Florida and Texas AP students credit for the courses they take. Last March, the College Board sent AP teachers a reminder of program principles they must adhere to. If instruction is censored, the College Board says, students could end up losing AP credit. The College Board sets the required teaching topics, and in some cases, the required foundational texts, for all AP courses. A school must prove that their AP courses meet these requirements to get a legal license for AP authorization of the course. For instance, an APU's government and politics teacher must assign the reading of Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous letter from Birmingham jail essay, College Board says. But if that teacher chooses to omit that required text from their authorized APU's government and politics course, be it in fear of crossing a state law limiting classroom discussions on racism, fear of parent pushback, or some other reason, the course would then lose its AP license and the AP designation would be removed from students' transcripts. Benjamin Fairless. Canada. DeSantis rhetoric fuels a lot of excitement among more extreme Republicans. I won't call them conservatives because that would be an insult to the global brand. Hopefully the extremists won't have the votes to elect him or Trump. Larry. Cleveland, Ohio. Stop Woke Act. Among other things, it prohibits instruction that could make students feel responsibility for or guilt about the past actions of other members of their race. The obvious rationale for this is that students are not responsible for what their ancestors did. Therefore, history should not be taught that would make students proud of what their ancestors did. The students are not responsible for that either. Woodsy. Boston. Isn't DeSantis all about freedom? Freedom of choice. So why is he so bent on restricting freedoms? High school students can't choose which courses to take, women can't choose when to have babies. I'll never forget his appearance on stage with a bunch of high schoolers, sometime back during the pandemic, where he was handing out awards to these same kids, then scolded one or a few of them for wearing masks. In front of everyone. I was horrified for those kids. So which freedoms, again?